This one, I'm pretty sure this is at the Java break again, where that guy was sitting with his back to me earlier. I showed that other piece earlier with the red stools and the other larger version. This would just be like in the same room, I think, just further over to the left. And I guess one interesting thing is there's no people in this one, because I've always talked about, and when I give artist talks and things, how my progression as an artist has kind of gone, and it started out as a lot of this observational stuff, because I wanted to draw things and figure out how to draw things, but I needed subjects, so I'd just do whatever was around me. I'd go out to places and draw people. But one thing that started happening, I noticed, was you feel like you're getting the same thing a lot of the time. Like, you're getting a lot of people with their backs to you, a lot of people sitting in chairs, a lot of people standing and talking to each other, and it gets really repetitive. And so I slowly started becoming more interested in these scenes without people, just objects, and eventually that led to just like doing landscapes. And if you have looked at my work for the last, like, I want to say I haven't rendered a person for 12 or 13 years. I'm pretty confident in that. It was like 2008 or something. Someone commented like, "Oh, there's no people in your city you drew," and I didn't even think about it. But that was the time where I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess I wasn't interested in the people." I don't think I've really included people too much since then. Works fine for me. I really love this painting. It's got like kind of a semi-realistic color palette going on. I think it's a nice balance between like being accurately rendered and being kind of loose and gestural. Like in these sort of areas down here, you just kind of let the brush stroke stand, but then other parts you kind of work it out better and create some like nice energy movement through there. Yeah, I like this one. Yeah, so this one, we're back at the 8th Street Tap Room again. I spent a lot of time there around this area of my life, like I said, and yeah, this is another one where decided to incorporate, the passage of time into what was happening, and so that's why, like, this guy looks kind of midgety, like his head is bigger than his body, is because he was moving. And I guess that's kind of how it came out in the sketchbook, probably, and I just sort of left it, even though it looks kind of odd. And that's why this guy looks kind of twisty, is because he was standing in one spot. He was kind of, going back and forth. And I guess I kind of decided I liked that sort of suggestive shape of a person without worrying about, oh, how accurate does it look as a person. Because if you're in a bar scene like this, things are always moving and changing. Nobody's just sitting still, posing, waiting for their picture to be drawn. And working observationally, you want to try and capture what you're seeing. So if you're seeing motion, you want to go for it, right? This is a cool little study. I really like that I preserved the red walls of the tap room. Like, they have very dark, kind of red, almost maroon walls there, and reminds me of those days. Oh, here's a bunch of little ones. Yep. Yeah, this is at Henry's Coffee Shop. I'm pretty sure the redhead there is this guy named Spencer Roberts. He worked there. I've known him since like early grade school, and again, just kind of capturing the motion of him going through there and people standing in line. The cash register was right there. It's a coffee shop, and they're getting a coffee he's making at the espresso machine over there and getting other stuff, whatnot. Just a slice of life in Lawrence, Kansas around 2004 or so, little study that I grabbed out of the sketchbook and turned into a small painting. Kind of like the size of this one, and how I like the rendering, the looseness of the rendering. It doesn't feel like it's trying too hard. And I think I mentioned this in another small piece that I had before, where the size of the piece really dictates like how you should work on it. And I think this is kind of a nice balance where it's pretty quick. I didn't spend a lot of time on it, and I think if you worked too hard trying to really finely render a piece this size, it would look kind of out of place, or like a really nicely made postcard. I think that one works well. Another one with some writing on it. I'm gonna read this before I read it out loud. What is it? I'm not even gonna read that out loud. It doesn't even make any sense. But here, I'll cover part of it. You can't read it either. This is just some diner scene. I remember doing this in Albuquerque. This was along Central Ave. I don't remember which place it was. I did a bunch of... I would ride my bike around to all the weird diners and stuff. I'm into hanging out at diners. It's fun. I like coffee, and at the time I liked to smoke a lot. I think you could still smoke inside there back then. No, whatever. Doesn't matter. Don't read that. Yeah, I would say this is a nice little study. It's I like the sort of monochrome thing. If you buy this, you get to figure out what this says. Yeah. This is an example of one that kind of got away from me. I guess you could say I was being ambitious and, really trying something with the beefy colors and stuff, but I don't know, it's kind of hard, like, looking at it now and looking at it through my lens now, because, like, at the time I was more interested in, I wouldn't even say it's kind of fauvist is what that's not what I was intentionally going for, but the same kind of ideas that they were working with, I hadn't like studied it at the time, so I didn't know it. But just kind of not worrying about realistic color. I guess I was pretty familiar with Kandinsky at the time. He probably had some kind of influence in my thinking at the time, using expressive color. But yeah, this just looks kind of messy and jumbled, and like I kind of lost my vision. But again, I made this when I was early 20s, like 21 years old or something. This was in Albuquerque, I think. I want to say this was at, what is that place? I can't remember what it's called anymore. Yeah, it's an interesting relic to look back on and see where you were at one time. Alright, and let's see. We can do one more before we cut this off here. This is kind of a little scene here of, this is like the, I want to say, train and bus station in Albuquerque. I kind of like this one. It got a little muddy, but if you look up really close there, I really like the kind of dark tones that I got in there that kind of render everything, but very subtly. I think that was super successful. I should have just, this is an example of my inexperience not being comfortable with letting this sort of outer stuff just ride with less detail, because if what I'm really interested in is what's going on inside there, I really shouldn't try to distract you with the loud color and brush strokes and whatever out here. I should just, leave that stuff alone. Not everything needs to be worked to death. Yeah, it's an interesting little piece. Yeah, I got more stuff to photograph now. Got a catalog of those and get them up on the Etsy shop. You can find them there if any of those looked interesting, or if there's anything else you wanted to know more about them, you could always shout out at me on Twitter or something. yeah, check out the Summit Studios Facebook page. And I'm out there. Get at me. And check back at the channel. We're going to be getting into more stuff. We're almost done with this portfolio. Got like one page left, and there's some random stuff in this pocket that I had no idea was there. So let's see what it is. Catch you next time.